Welcome to another episode of our monthly marketing munchies. I'm Luke Piccini, and today I'm going to be sharing some new content with you, something we've been working on, and it's all about getting your brand electromagnetic. And an electromagnetic brand is one that pulls awesome people to you, seemingly effortlessly, both customers, and they stay with you longer, and team members to help you serve these awesome customers. So as usual, we're going to talk through some points here, give you some things to take away, and hopefully you will become a better brand because of it. So there are three big problems that we're seeing today for businesses, and they're amplified because of COVID. I want you to see which of these resonate for you. Starting with customers. Sales have slowed. They've got increasingly difficult. Perhaps they've even dried up completely. It could be that the market has moved on you because of COVID or technology, or you're just missing the mark because of your messaging. That's number one. Number two is team. Some of your people are aimless. They're unmotivated or unproductive. Energy and morale is low. Sound familiar? Or third, identity. You have a lack of confidence or pride in your brand and how it's making you perceived in the market. Worse yet, you're embarrassed and you just don't like to show your brand in your marketing. These problems make work a bit of a grind. In fact, they're a burden for business owners to carry, and it makes business unfun or unawesome. But we want to be awesome. The good news is that reimagining is possible. All you need is a little R&R. Oh, this looks good, doesn't it? But I'm not talking about this kind of R&R right now. I'm talking about relevance and resonance. We talk about relevance, and when you buy a new car, all of a sudden you see it everywhere because you've got that lens. It doesn't mean they weren't there before. It's just you're looking at it differently because it's relevant to you. And resonance. Talking frequency here. Two tuning forks of the same frequency, strike one and the other one begins to vibrate. The same with places and brands. When we are the same vibration of it, it feels good. So it's about how do you be relevant and resonate with those that you want to serve. To work that out, it does take a bit of R&R, and I'm talking now the rest and relaxation, because you need to get away from those lower conscious states that don't help you be creative. So meditate, whatever it might be, to get into that higher state where you can come at things with creativity. Then you can ask the bigger question, which is how do we take the best of the brand that we have and all that it has been, the legacy, and bring to it the best that we are now, to make it the best it can be for now and for the future. Because that gets us to the ultimate outcome, which is an electromagnetic brand. And as I started saying before, an electromagnetic brand is one that effortlessly pulls awesome people to your business. That means more of the right kind of clients and more of the right kind of team members that stick to you for good, compound growth. How sweet would business be with that? That's what we want for all of our clients, and that's what we're going to talk about now. And it takes 5 pillars to build an electromagnetic brand: audience, culture, impact, strategy, and evolution. You need each one of these. And you might be nailing some of these, and if so, kudos to you. We will cover them all now so you can see how they fit together. Starting with the first pillar, audience. What is your audience? Well, every business, every organization has multiple audiences. These can range from investors through to owners, senior leadership, your team, your suppliers, clients, impact beneficiaries, followers, wider community. It goes on depending on your organization. The reason why this is important is each audience sees you in a different way. Think about the value that you provide for each audience, the problems that you solve for each of them, and how they would talk about that problem. It's wildly different. For instance, if you try and communicate with an investor with the same language and value proposition that you do a new prospective client, you'll not resonate, not the way you want. And you won't get the response that you want either, because your investor has a different journey. They have different criteria, priorities, and barriers. And the language that they use to address the problem that you solve is different too. Little story to illustrate that. On our own journey from COVID, given that we've been forced to have some time for introspection, we've come back to this first pillar and looked at our juicy core customers. And by analysing the last 20 years we've been in business and the clients that we've had the greatest impact for and that have been the most fun for us to work with, they've been second generation business owners that have taken over from the family. And there's multiple reasons why they're important to us, but that's led to us researching and finding this thing called family business that we've not been exposed to, even though we've been serving it. And that's led us to connecting and talking with multiple consultants in the space, and now launching a report to take a pulse of the market, where we're going to capture the language that they use to describe the problems that they have. So we're getting clear on our audience. You shouldn't assume. If you assume, you're just guessing, and that's gambling. Ask. And that's the first thing. Get clear on your audiences and who they are, what they need from you. Pillar 2 is culture. Your culture is your brand. And I want to show you why that's the case. Your vision for humanity, your vision for the world, that is the motivator for you and your team. That's your BHAG. That's the light that drives you. And then you have your purpose, which is the North Star. That is the compass direction for all of your decisions to line up with. And it's the direction for your team to charge in. And then your values, they're your rules of play. They're what drive your day-to-day decisions and the behavior and actions of your people. Why that's important? Because your culture, whether by design or by default, is how your brand shows up in the world. It's the way you look, it's the way you feel and sound, and the way you're experienced in the marketplace. From your marketing through to your systems and down to the direct exposures, the direct experience one-on-one with your team members. If you want a brand worth raving about, which I'm sure you do, you must have a culture worth raving about. And that doesn't happen by accident. Another story to illustrate. We've got a third generation client, a great group of people, a team of 35 plus people, and they had values by default, meaning they never deliberately worked on, articulated and celebrated their values, which led to misaligned team members, which led to sabotage, self-sabotage, subconscious sabotage, but that caused cultural entropy and good people left. We helped them define and refine aspirational values and build in a process to celebrate those. And when they became the day-to-day criteria for the decisions for all of the team, their actions were aligned with that. And pretty soon that those that were no longer aligned, were not aligned with the values of the organization, self-selected out. And once that happened, the others that were aligned, the rest of the organization, were liberated so they could bring their creative and discretionary energy to work. And their business has gone through the roof as a result. It's incredible to see that outcome by culture change. That's why it's so important. That's why it's a pillar. Pillar 3, impact. You hear me with this mantra, awesome products or services no longer enough today. Brands can and should have a positive impact in the world, one that makes sense for what they sell, for their customers, for the market, and for their team. Relevance. Why? Because doing good feels good. And choosing brands that do good on our behalf enables us to feel good as co-creators in that goodness at no extra cost. So why wouldn't we choose it? So given the choice, people will choose the brand that does good. All things being equal and providing it's authentic and all of that good stuff. An illustrative story. Outland Denim is a brand that I love. I'm wearing their jeans now. It was built to give victims of human trafficking a livelihood. The purpose came first, the product came second, so it's integral to what they do. It was the first brand that I purchased brand new after I was exposed to the reality of the fashion supply chain and the exploitation and devastation that it caused. I suggest you tune into a documentary called The True Cost and you'll see what I saw, and that was my purpose moment. What I love about Outland is the real stories of the impact beneficiaries that come in on the clothes that you buy. Every item has a story from one of the people that has benefited by their impact model. I know that I'm contributing to that when I purchase their products. It's simple and it's easy to share. It's why I love talking about it so much. And Outland recently did an equity raise, building to a launch which happened within COVID, unfortunately, but it shows that it's a testament of the brand that they were able to garner the support of 1,012 investors, and they raised a total of $1.3 million in change. Awesome brand doing amazing things. That's why impact is so important. Pillar 4, strategy. Multiple strategies are required to connect the dots for each audience based off those other 2 pillars. Why? Because you have many different audiences that need precisely the right message at the right time through the right medium to move them to the next desired step. Your message in that moment, in each of these moments, must be unapologetically for that audience alone, or it risks not being perceived as for them, and they'll disregard it. Resonance and relevance here is everything. Strategy does that. Illustrative story. So right now, I'm looking for purpose-led collaborative partners in the family business advisor space. And I'm looking for them via LinkedIn. So I need a strategy for that. All of my recent posts have been purpose themed, and now they are family business themed too. I've had conversations with contacts of mine that have expressed how much I live and breathe this topic through my posts, which is what I want because it makes me right, very right, that tuning fork for those that I resonate with. And it saves me from those awkward conversations with those that I'm not. Audience here is potential partners. The channel is LinkedIn. The medium are my personal posts. And the objective is to initiate purpose-led partnerships. So there's a real clear strategy for this audience via LinkedIn. Do you see it? Each of your audiences, each of your mediums require strategies. Otherwise, you're going to miss the mark. Generalities don't work. Pillar 5, evolution. So often all the good work that's covered in these prior chapters, prior pillars, dies in the drawer, or even worse, dies on the wall. There's a misperception that when it's done, it's done. But the reality is sustained energy and focus is required to bring this stuff to life, for life, keep it living. You don't water a plant once and expect it to thrive. Why? Because we want to capture both the hearts and the minds of all of our audiences, both our internal audiences and our external audiences, so that they fall in love with our brand and they stay in love with our brand long term. And you need to evolve with them over time to sustain their attention and their affection. And that requires continuous energy and continuous effort. So evolution, this pillar could include everything from delivering a new brand name and identity, a brand refresh, or a website, or a marketing strategy, or anything cosmetic like that. But they are cosmetic. They bring attention to you, which is great, and you do want it, but it's your culture that sustains that. So you need to nurture it. Authenticity and energy is the key, from the top down, from the inside out. There's no finish line with evolution. This is about how do you build it into your day-to-day, how do you live and breathe it. I've recently been engaged by a professional services company, and in our discovery session with the directors there, I asked, the first question I usually ask is, so what is your purpose? None of them could recall it. In fact, there was a very awkward silence for a number of minutes while one of them attempted to dig it out. The problem is this is so common. It is often done at an offsite every couple of years, and it's put in a binder along with the values, along with the brand strategy, and that's where it lives. Needless to say, they weren't getting the internal buy-in from their team, and they weren't getting the results that they were looking for in the market. So going back to that other example, the client that was culturally aligned, they had built in these ingrained practices into their daily and weekly meetings, and all of their decisions and were celebrating their values, and they were outperforming the market. That is what we're aiming to do with this new professional services firm, take them on that journey, but we've only just begun. So are you starting to see how these pillars create this electromagnetic brand? It's a much bigger topic. There's a lot of work to do, but it is a journey, and I encourage you to have fun with it. Remember, it is your journey. There is only your pace, and it does take time to put good things in place. That's a wrap for this. That is the first time I've shared those 5 pillars. I hope you enjoyed them. If you've got any questions, reach out to me via the sponge, via our contact form, or through our social channels. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining me, and may your days be overflowing with awesomeness and, of course, positive impact. Thank you.